All right, we're gonna move through some Patreon requests today, starting off with one from my good friend Chris, aka the Mount Vernon Kid. And yeah, as always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, where you guys can start sending me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this, and yeah, let's get started with the video. So, yeah. This video is a good old-fashioned Marvel DC crossover. That's right, we got ourselves a classic Marvel DC mashup. And for this, it's going to be a crossover story between Daredevil and Black Canary. So we got Matt meeting Dinah in this story. So let's get started. So the beginning of this story actually begins not in the present, but in the past. This story starts off. Ugh, my head hurts. The story begins in Matt's younger years. Like, this is about like a few months after he was blinded, and this is his first time since being blind, losing his eyesight, that he goes to one of his father's matches. Now, this isn't a fixed one. This is Jack Murdock taking on, like, this is an exhibition match. Like, this is a great big exhibition match between Jack Murdock, and this is like a Mike Tyson versus Muhammad Ali kind of thing for heavyweight boxers, or Mike Tyson versus George Foreman or something like that. So yeah, who is he fighting? Who is battling Jack Murdock fighting? It's Ted Grant, aka Wildcat. So Grant and Murdock are just slugging it out, and Matt is like hearing all of this. Like, he can hear his father like breathing heavily. He can hear like every punch. He is just like in awe of like seeing how hard his father's fighting, because even he was like he was here, like Jack would tell Matt like all these stories about like how he was inspired by Ted Grant, and the fact that he's getting a chance to fight Ted Grant is like amazing. So this is a big matchup, but in the stands he's also hearing like another voice saying like kick his ass, Ted. And he's like, no one's talking shit about my dad. He goes over, it's a young Dinah it's a very young Dinah who is watching the matchup. So during this absolute slugfest that's going on, Matt and Dinah get into an argument. Until like they just part ways, and they're like, because Matt's like, that's my dad up there, and he's like, yeah, well, your dad sucks. Ted's gonna kick his ass, because she sees Ted as her like father figure. So they both part ways. Like, I never hope I meet that girl again. But by the end of it, Ted wins the match. Like, Ted defeats Jack Murdock, and Jack's like, don't worry about it, Matt. It was like an honor. Like, I'm gonna go. Like, it's all good. Like, sometimes you just meet people and you just want to be around them. So, yeah. So there's the start of our story, our little prelude. So, we're here now in the present, and Matt is just, it's a typical night in Hell's Kitchen. Or rather, it's not. Because Matt, it's his father's birthday. Today is his father's birthday, and he wants to go to visit his father's grave, just to like give some peace and whatever. And however, and Matt's like, I don't want to be out tonight. I don't want to be Daredevil tonight. I really don't want to be Daredevil tonight. But the thing of it is, something's gone horribly wrong in Hell's Kitchen, at least for the metahuman community. It turns out that several metas and several of Matt's villains have gone missing. The Jester has gone missing, Man-Bull, Stiltman. And he's like, fuck them. He's at first, even others like the Matador and Mr. Fear are gone, and he's just like, fuck them. The less of them, the better. Like, but the only reason he's not really looking for his villains. It turns out Matt's looking for the Gladiator. The Gladiator was one of his villains turned allies, and essentially the reason why the Gladiator is also gone missing too. So, yeah. Now, the reason why is because the Gladiator's wife, contacted Daredevil and is like, hey, my husband's gone missing. I don't know if this is, a gang thing or that he's been gone for 3 days. He's never, I I don't know what to do. The cops won't do anything. I'm scared. Please, Daredevil, will you go look for my husband? And he's like, yeah, okay. So Daredevil is out on patrol, like out looking for like a sign, and it leads, and he's looking for clues, and he's following clues to what happened to Gladiator, and he sees like there was a fight that went on between several other people when they were capturing him. They like Gladiator didn't go down without a fight, so he's following all the little clues of the battle all the way to a warehouse, and that's when he hears a sound, and that's when he's like, oh shit, and that's when someone comes at him, and that is Black Canary. So Daredevil and Black Canary face off, and at first Daredevil's like, I don't know, like I can smell that scent. She's wearing perfume. She's light build, and but I don't know who this is. I don't know who this is. I'm gonna defend myself. And yeah, as Daredevil, as Dinah and Matt are fighting, Dinah just lets loose a sonic scream that just fucks with Matt, and like obviously his hearing's a big part. He's just like, he is stunned. He gets knocked down, and Dinah's like, enough, okay? Like, you're Daredevil, right? I came all the way here to New York because I am I think we're looking for the same, we're looking into the same thing, right? And he's like, yeah, a friend of mine is someone I know, I should say, has gone missing. And she's like, yeah, some other villains have gone missing as well, and they've all turned up missing, and among those were some villains that that were trying to get rehabilitated. Like, some of them were trying to like turn another leaf, and what happened was they've gone missing, and now I'm trying to find them. And Daredevil and Black Canary are like, okay, clearly there's something going on, so let's work together and figure out what's going on. So the two of them start investigating. The two of them start like digging around for clues. They start digging around for what they could use to help like find them in this warehouse. They're finding like all these different clues of like super weapons and signs that this is a place for like human trafficking, or rather meta-human trafficking, because it turns out that these people have been kidnapped and taken somewhere else. And they're like, this could either be like, there's hundreds of reasons why people would kidnap a metahuman, whether that be for, mind control, or, selling their organs, or even like something as fucked up as like eating or forcing themselves on these metahumans. And Daredevil's like, he gets a scent, and it's a very weird scent. He describes it like it's a kind of perfume, and he describes it, and then Dinah's like, that bitch. And he's like, who did this? And she's like, I got an idea, follow me. So they follow another trail until they run into a henchman at a local bar, and Dinah and Matt capture him. Dinah just screams in his face. And he's like, all right, I'll talk. And she's like, where is she? And Matt's like, who? And she goes, it's Roulette. Like, she explains that Roulette is a villain of the Justice Society and daughter of one of their villains, heroes, the first Mr. Terrific. So Roulette she does this thing every so often of kidnapping metahumans and mind controlling them to fight. She obviously brought her shit to New York. Great. So obviously this is where your villains and mine are probably hidden. And he's like, that would take a lot of money to bankroll. Like, something like an underground thing in New York where there's a ton of superheroes, that would take a lot of money to bankroll and hide it from the other heroes like Spider-Man and the Avengers. And that would only... Son of a bitch. So yes, we have in this story the supervillain team up of Roulette and the Kingpin. Yep. So Daredevil and Black Canary travel to the underground, to this underground supervillain fight ring, where they are getting mind controlled to fight each other in exhibition matches, and some of them even get so grievously wounded that there's even a chance they might die. And Roulette and Fisk are up in the stands, and Fisk is like, "I'm curious, why did you only want villains for this?" And she's like, "'Cause no, if we kidnapped a hero, it would just cause a whole fucking mess. Like, it would just be a big mess, and the Avengers or the Justice League would come and get us. But no one's gonna care about Joe Schmo villain, if we just pluck him off the streets and mind control him to fight to the death. Yeah, as long as we don't get, as long as we get, and trust me, there's a ton of no names, for all of us to, benefit from this." But unfortunately, Daredevil and Black Canary have broken in, and yeah, so when when Fisk and Roulette discover that Black Canary and Daredevil are in the arena, they're like, "Oh, good, this will be fun." So they unleash all the villains they have under their mind control. So Matt and Dinah have to fight their way through just a cavalcade of just villains left and right until they can fight their way to face Fisk and Roulette. And once they do, they kind of switch partners. So Daredevil goes after Roulette, and Black Canary goes after Kingpin. And Kingpin's like, "My dear, while you are very beautiful, I am more of a business. I care more about business than people's faces." And she's like, "Funny, I do too." And so they fight, and he's like, "You're no different from any other street Daredevil, Punisher, Spider-Man. You're no different from them." And that's when she lets out a sonic scream that just sends Butterball into a wall, and she goes, "Could Spider-Man do that?" Meanwhile, Daredevil fights Roulette, and he beats her, and she goes, "You beat me. Fair play," as my father would always say. So they release all the villains. Daredevil brings Gladiator back home to his wife, and the two of them part ways. But before that, they're like, some of them stayed to get arrested because they didn't know where else to go. Others just took off and ran. But yeah, they're like, they shake hands, and she's like, and Matt goes, if you don't want to make it all the way back to New York, I have an apartment not too far away. Maybe you could spend the night. And Dinah's like, "Real slick, but I'm married." And she leaves. So there you go, guys. That is my Daredevil Black Canary story. Once again, I'd like to thank the Mount Vernon Kid. Chris, thank you so much for this Patreon request, as well as your continued patronage. Other than that, you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of this story? Just comment below, let me know, and like I said, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, where you guys can start sending me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.